Hey guys, what's up? So, yeah, as you saw from the thumbnail and the title of this video, I no longer play the game uh pretty much as of this year. At the end of last year is when I pretty much stopped, although it was more of a slow kind of fizzle out during January. There is multiple reasons why this video it's probably long overdue. Maybe I should have made this video like last month, so like early February, maybe even January. But like I said, it was kind of in some respects, a slow fizzle. Uh, but anyways, I'm going to kind of try my best to explain what happened. There are multiple reasons. I'm just going to quickly outline, what I'm going to talk about, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so first of all, I did have experienced a lot of toxicity and poor sportsmanship. It was a lot heavier, much heavier and concentrated at the end of last year. So like November and December of last year. But it's also just been the whole way. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna kind of walk through the timeline of everything. Um, as bad as as bad as the toxicity was, I think any person with self respect would not want to subject themselves to all of this. But it's more than that. I after I walked away from the game over a lot of this, I kind of realized how I just don't the the motivation is just not there anymore. Like I don't want to play, and I had to like think about why that is. Um, I actually think that PBEM is I would say dead in the water is maybe a good way of saying it. It's like doomed. And I'll kind of, at the end of the video, I'll kind of try to explain why that is. It really needs its own video. I'll probably maybe have to make a separate video later on going, because it is a lot to talk about. But I do think the game has some fundamental problems, like to the point where it's very, very impractical to play. And there are some like fundamental problems, I would say, with auto combat. But there's a lot. So, but I'll get to that. And then the last thing to say in the outline here is I do still have, it's not like I have about a year's worth of content. We played a lot of games, a lot last year, like in the second half of last year. So yeah, I still have a ton of content. I am, as of this time, still planning on kind of posting all of that. I'm not sure how I will do it exactly. But yeah, just so you guys know, the videos aren't stopping yet. We have about a year's here of just, even though I'm not playing anymore. Anyways, let's jump right into it. So, yeah, the toxicity and poor sportsmanship. Like I said, it has pretty much been the whole way. I am the host of basically all the games that you see on the channel here. So it's not a job I would recommend. It's not a fun job, unless you're like a sadistic kind of goober, which there are a lot of those, a lot of you know soy boys out there who, and I've experienced it. They'll just kick you out of spite, kick you from a lobby. There's actually a game on my channel, a game that was hosted by another player that was back in I don't know when that was, maybe a year or two ago. Guy kicked me from that game, the host, because they weren't happy with I don't know with getting. You can go check it out, but yeah, it's been the whole way. I've seen it all. I've seen the pouting, like people pouting, getting upset, not necessarily saying anything, but I've seen that kind of thing. I've seen people dragging their feet. I do have to say that I have been pretty damn patient. I think I'm certainly more patient than you know like I wasn't shown the same patience from a lot of people. I would say like people that I dealt with in this realm of toxicity. But I'll anyways, kind of going through a timeline here. There was a I'm going to kind of try to make sense of it for you guys, but there was a cheater that the first cheater that I had to deal with on the channel, so cheating, restarting a turn in Iron Man mode, it's not allowed. And that's the whole. I'm not going to get into it. I've talked about it before. Cheater back in 2024. So this was like during the last quarter of 2024. That guy, he cheated in one game, and we had multiple games going at the same time. I had more of an open mind back then. We kept playing. I kept playing the other games. I kicked him from the game that he cheated in, but then we just kept going. This guy ended up cheating in all the games, and I think I have to say, like in my opinion, yeah, you can call it like cheating, but really I think it was more, yes, it was cheating, but it was more of a spiteful cheating. It was out of spite. Restarting, after I already told, you've been removed from one game, but then the guy keeps doing it, and it's like he's just throwing the game. Anyways, that was in 24. 6 months after that, in 2025, around the springtime. So it's actually a year ago, right? Another player did the same thing, cheating. Same kind of thing, my opinion. It's not even my opinion. Like it is the truth. It was done out of spite. It was done maliciously. There is a lot, you can actually check it out. I actually updated that video and I put it up, put it nice and center on my on the channel there, as like a trailer, because that cheater, believe it or not, has been kind of stalking and harassing me for an entire year, a whole year, possibly more than a year, because I would not be surprised if that player, I'll just say his name, AOWE. I call him AO weak. I add weak at the end because you're a weak bitch, bro. This guy, he's been stalking me for an entire year, clogging up my lobbies. That was a real pain in the ass. I remember right after the incident, he was clogging my lobbies for because you see, there's no way to permablock somebody in this game, so you have to manually kick them from the lobby, and they can just rejoin. So I must have kicked him from various lobbies, like it's like over 100 times. It's insane. Stalker. Anyways, I did some digging and I realized this player, AOWE, AO Weak, he started joining my games only a week, just 1 week after the previous cheater had left my games, had stopped playing in my games. 1 week between those two events, this guy shows up. It's like, I would not be surprised. What are the odds? It could very well be the same cheaters. So it's actually more than a year. It's more like a year and a half. This guy has been stalking me out of spite. Anyways, that's probably enough talking about that. But that wasn't a walk in the park. That's not fun. But we powered through that. We kept playing. Obviously, I kept playing through the end of 2025. In November, fast forward to November, ended up playing with this guy. He was it's not the first guy. He was basically a veteran PBEM player back from the old PBEM competitive manual combat competitive group. There was a group and they had a mod. Anyways, but it's not the first. I played against another one of those guys, maybe even more than that, at least one other way back, a year or two ago. But this guy was such a fucking balance whiner. I could not believe it. And maybe I should have seen it coming. I kind of knew things were bad. I kind of knew there were problems. I had my reservations, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. The guy was extremely arrogant, condescending to the point he was like it's a 1v1 game, but he's like critiquing my play, saying like you could have done this, you should have done in the middle of the game. And he's wrong about it too. So it's just like, okay. And then balance whining. So just whining about the balance multiple times all game long. I held my tongue, but eventually it got to a point where I had to call him out. And doesn't even have, it was just really bad. Like I can tell you guys that his intentions were not good because he came in posing, he started out posing as like a big authority on the game, saying that he was on the balance team for this mod, the old group, this old competitive group and whatever, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't even have like basic knowledge on many things. And then he was like, just basically completely biased in his whining. Anyways, that was in November. That was not, it's not a fun experience being subjected to that, obviously. And then eventually, like I said, it got to a point where I had to, I felt the urge to call him out because it's like nefarious what he's doing. Posing as like an authority, breathing down your neck all game, completely biased, complaining about this balance, but it's you don't know what you're talking about. So I called him out on it in late November. Not fun. It was very exhausting. I was not expecting to have to do that, so it was just not fun at all. After that, I mean, even just being subjected to it, like I said, it's just, who wants to be subjected to that kind of a thing? But I lost a lot of motivation after that, and in all the games on the channel, we really got into it. Like I was taking turns. I had multiple games going. The reason we have like I have a year's worth of content, guys. I had like 10 games going at one point, last like summer into fall, but taking one turn per day. Eventually, after I called him out, losing motivation, that it went down to like 2 turns per week. Then it dropped to like 1 turn a week. Then the holidays rolled around. So I took a break for the holidays. I walked away for a couple weeks there over the holidays. When I came back from the holidays, this was December 29th. I came back. It was a Monday. I get on the game. I had a single lobby that was up for like months. Like that's how dead the game is, guys. Like just up for months. It was a 6-player FFA. Anyways, it was full. So I was like, oh, great. I pull up the fucking lobby. There were 2 slots left, right, when I last checked. So it's like, who joined these slots? The balance whiner, this guy, El Lobo. I call him El Loco, because you're crazy, bro. Like it was very ingenuous what he was doing that game. So that guy, and surprise, surprise, this cheater stalker, AO Week, this guy, he's been stalking me for an entire year, maybe even a year and a half, like I said, if it's the same person. Insane. So anyways, it really pissed me off. And I really let him have it. I messaged them. I kicked them from the game, obviously. Was not happy at all about it. Because I've been dealing with it, and I'm sure there's more to it. Like, I'm sure that, because believe it or not, I know the community is tiny, like the game is dead. That's what kind of also makes all of this so funny, because it's like, I have stalkers, but it's like, the game is dead. The game is dead. My channel is dead. Like, my channel is not even, I don't even know why you guys are watching. The few people, maybe they just hate watching, because it's like, don't really expect people to watch these videos. They were really, the whole intention behind these videos was just me documenting my games and trying to stir up interest. The whole auto combat format has been it's been an experiment. Even I lost sight of that, by the way, which I'll get to in a second here. That's where like PBEM is doomed kind of thing. I had lost sight of that, but anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, I think I would, I know that a lot of people are friends behind the scenes, so I would not be surprised if these people, they're nefarious players. Um, I, but I'm pretty sure I would not be surprised if they're kind of talking shit about me to their buddies, and it's like it's the whole community, right? It's like a tiny group of friends, and I'm not, I'm here solo, so if there has been gossip about it, which maybe I would not be surprised. I'll just come out and say it. I really let them have it. I really, in my message to them, I really ripped into them. I was not happy with all of that, with them joining. Anyways, back to the timeline here. So that was on December 29th. There's more to it, which is it gets crazy, guys, because I have evidence. I have mounting evidence, okay, that another player, I won't say his name because it's not damning evidence, but it's very suspicious. It's mounting evidence over a year of evidence that another player who, by the way, showed up, who started joining my games just around the time that this cheater stalker guy, this AO week, this guy started joining. This other player was joining at the same time. This other player, for an entire year, I have mounting evidence that I believe is either in communication with AOWE, so like either a friend of his, or he is the same person on a second account. Why do I think this? Because I have mounting evidence. Every time I had an interaction or involvement with AOWE, within 12 hours, not even 24 hours, within 12 hours after this, numerous times, this other player, this other account would come in and basically start testing me, like fucking with me, like restarting turns out of nowhere. Like obviously if it was one instance, you can't draw a conclusion from that, but I have multiple things and I have that evidence. Maybe I'll release it, maybe not. I don't know. If people want it, if people, I don't know. But I'm just mentioning it here because this is part of the timeline. The thing about December 29th is this is another one of those times. It's crazy. It's like, who wants to put up with this? But I kid you not, 6 hours after I ripped into these two guys, and it was one of which AOWE, the stalker. 6 hours later, this other player comes in, restarts their turn, and I can tell it's a false restart, and it's not the first time. And there's other things that I haven't even mentioned, and it's like, and there's more things that happen during January, even like it doesn't end there, and it's like this person on another account. It's like I'm being teamed up on. It's like gang stalking. It's like these two guys are either friends and they're like talking, crying to each other behind the scenes. Oh, he's so mean. He treated us unfairly. It's like, you're a cheater, bro. You cheated in these games. You're spiteful. Everything you do is out of spite. You were clogging up my lobbies. I had to kick you over 100 times. It's crazy. But anyways, I just thought I would mention that because it's like, it gets even worse. That was on December 29th. Anyways, after December 29th, right, I came back to the game to continue all of these games. And I just said, fuck it. After all that, it's like 2 or 3 things that happened that day. Not pleasant at all. And I just said, fuck it. And I took another week off. So fast forward to January 5th, I come back to the game again. This is the following Monday. I think, it's like crazy that I even stuck it out for this long. Coming back, intending to take my turns here. Before I even get around to it that afternoon, it's like I get a message. Who's the message from? El Loco. It's from a guy. El Loco is now responding to me ripping him out the prior week. And he's like, this guy is fucking like taunting me, saying like, oh, you kicked me because you're scared and all this. And it's like, it's absolutely insane. It's like, you know exactly why I removed you, bro. Because I'm the host of these games. I'm the one, these are public lobbies. Okay. I'm inviting new players to play. We're trying to grow the game. I mean, that was like kind of the idea. Not anymore. I'm done basically, but this guy, it's like, I'm not going to let you do what you did to me to some other poor guy out there, like a new player who really doesn't have like a grasp of the game, right? I'm not going to let you breathe down some poor kid's neck, complaining about the balance and like basically, it was not good. And I'll just leave it there. I do plan to publish that game, by the way. So yeah, I do fully plan to publish, even though we didn't finish that game because I walked away from the whole game over everything that happened here. But anyways, so that was January 5th. At that point, what is that? That's like 2, 3, no, that's like 4 weeks now. It's like been a whole month, basically. It's like, you just can't keep your mouth shut, man. Like, we could have just, you can't let me just play the game. It's insane, dude. It's actually crazy that I even put up with it for as long as I did. Anyways, that's where I pretty much left off. And then through January, let's see here. What else is in the timeline? Like in January, I mentioned that 6-player FFA. This is funny. That lobby, I never played. We never launched that game because the game is even deader than you guys think. Like, I was going to launch that game, and I had more people join, right? But then when I go around to launch it, you have to make sure that people aren't AFK because it happens all the time. Well, it turned out that the first 3 players who had been sitting in that lobby for months, they were AFK. They were not responsive. So I said, fuck it on that. I just, it's like, okay. I was already feeling bad about everything else. And it's like, okay, I'm just not even going to bother. I could have like removed them and we keep holding out for more players. But I'm just like, eh. But what's so funny is all through January, even, I would say, even up until now. So it's like the middle of March. But I was like, just a couple weeks ago, getting hate messages from all of these nefarious characters, hate messages. And I actually think that they're kind of lining up with that lobby, because that lobby, it's like those guys, these fucking assholes, they think that I'm playing the game without them or something. They don't. You guys are so dumb. You don't even understand how the lobby system works, bro. Not only like this Loco guy, like I got a lot of hate mail from that guy. This Loco guy. Not only do you have a lack of understanding of the game itself, like you're coming out saying you're on the balance team or something. What a joke. What a bunch of baloney. You don't even have a basic understanding on a lot of things. But you don't even know how the lobby system works, apparently. Because the lobby is just disappearing whenever people join. That I never closed down that lobby. But I also never launched it. So it disappears from the listing there when it's full. But I never launched the damn thing. But yet you're like sending me hate mail, like because you think I'm playing or something without you, even though I just walked away from the whole game. It's hilarious, dude. It's insane. So there was that. I still had a 4-player FFA going, which I will say well, no, I won't say, but that game, I took a few turns of that during January, but even that fizzled out, and I couldn't bring myself to play the game anymore. That's where we kind of start getting into my realization, which is I actually think PBEM is dead in the water because like, yes, the toxicity, all of this stuff was not pleasant. I think any normal person would not put up with it. I put up with it for way too long, to be honest, but it is enough to justify quitting the game over, I would say. But what I realized is, because like I said, I kept playing that 4-player FFA begrudgingly. I was trying to. Even that I got burnt out on, and it fizzled out for me. And what I realized is the game sucks. Like PBEM has some serious problems, like fundamental problems. I can't really speak so much for the live multiplayer. I've never played live multiplayer. Obviously, there's some I would say some like general benefits to that. In like, for example, you can have a strict turn timer, so you're cutting down a lot of time. Although how badly does that affect the game? There is a ton. Like I said, it's a huge rabbit hole to go down. It really needs its own separate video. Maybe I will make one at some point, maybe much later on. But I'll try to like talk a little bit about what I've kind of come to realize because, like I said, we played a ton of games, guys. Like I had 10 games going at one point. I really got into it. I even built a website. Like, if you guys still aren't aware, I have a website. It's just posted on the channel there. I had fully intended to continue playing the game this year. Like, I was full steam ahead, not even thinking this is the problem, not even like really stepping. This is what happened, like stepping back from the toxicity and recognizing that, wait a minute, there's some issues here. There's a reason why I don't want to play anymore. Like, I can't bring myself to fucking play. But anyways, like even on the website, I had plans to maybe even branch into like Planetfall. If you look at the membership tiers, there is one tier where there's like a blurred out picture, and that blurred out picture is actually supposed to be like a treasure site in Age of Wonders Planetfall. I actually had plans to maybe branch into Planetfall, maybe even Age of Wonders 4. But obviously all of that's kind of like not going to happen now because I don't think PBEM is it. And I'm just going to outline some points here, but it really needs its own separate video. Like what I realized is because the game is exhausting, right? As you might see in these videos, it already is exhausting. It kind of compounds how exhausting the dealing with all of the poor sportsmanship and toxicity was. It's like that's exhausting, but then the game itself is exhausting. And what I saw is like what I'm noticing is as people improve, right? It gets really rough. Like the early game is pretty fun, like it can be. The mid game is kind of fun when you're doing like smaller skirmishes because it's kind of more manageable. But once people get good at the game, which they are, people have improved over the last, we've been running the channel for 2 years. And obviously some of these veteran players were pretty good. It's like, I've been in denial for a long time because this Loco guy, he's not the first veteran player that I played against. I've had other veteran players I played against, and those were tough games too. You can go back to like 2024 even, or 2024. Calculating the movement points gets insane as there's more and more going on, and then you have like a lot going on, like multiple armies kind of a thing. I've seen it, and it's rough. That's very taxing to do, calculating the movement points, and there's a lot to talk about with that, but I'll leave it there. The stack composition, that's a nightmare. That takes a lot of time. It's a whole science, really, and but I'll leave it there. Like that's very time consuming and annoying to do. You also have to position yourself in the environment. What does that mean? Just in brief, it's kind of centers around priority of attack. So you guys have to understand, like the game. I kind of put all of these to me, these are like fundamental issues with the game. And I kind of put them in the same category as like, it's not a balance issue. I put it in the same category as like just it's not well thought out. It's not well implemented, and it's very impractical for like a human player. Uh, Kind of like how XP farming is. That's the whole reason I did auto combat, guys. That's the whole reason. This is an experiment, and I lost sight of that. Of course, like I said, I've been in denial about it. This has always been an experiment, but I went full steam ahead. I got way too into it, thinking like it's great, but it's not great. It's an experiment. The reason we did auto combat is because XP farming is a goddamn nightmare. Even if you cut it down, which is what some of those mods do, right? Like these quote unquote balance mods, which I have problems with those too. But yeah, it is like that. Positioning the environment, anyways. I got off tangent here, but priority of attack, it's not well implemented by, the game was never really meant for this, because I was going on the assumption that this is fine. Like priority of attack, it makes sense. The attacker has priority. They can exploit weaknesses on the defender, basically using positioning, right? Like errors in positioning. As the defender, whenever you do anything, when you're moving on the map, right, you have to position yourself in such a way to mitigate those weaknesses, because the attacker has priority. That is very, very time consuming and exhausting. It's a complete nightmare to have to manage. It's very, very painful. It really slows the game down. Like my prediction, because I'm not going to play the game anymore. I'm kind of done, guys. But my prediction, if you keep pushing it, it's like it's going to take so much time, and it's going to really slow the game down, because you can't move because of this, how you can be exploited with the positioning, like attacking from certain angles. So you have to position using the environment, like up against mountains, like up against things where you can prevent the attacker from getting around and like attacking a weak side or something. It gets insane. Like all of these things, it's just way too much to manage. It's a pain in the ass. The game is exhausting. I don't think it's very practical. It's just not fun. Not fun for me anymore, especially after having dealt with all of everything I already talked about. What else do I have here? I'm looking at my notes. There is more, but I'll have to elaborate. Yeah, like it's a huge, huge thing to talk about. Rabbit hole to go down, and really needs its own video. Maybe I'll do that. Anyways, that's pretty much everything I had to say. What are we at? 32 minutes, 33 minutes. That's good. Not too long of a video, half an hour here to go through all this. Like I said, I still have a year's worth of content, so I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like I might, for now, for the immediate future, I plan to just keep posting as I have been. Maybe I'll speed it up. Maybe I'll slow it down. I kind of wanted to just close, I could have just walked away from everything, but which I kind of did for, we're in mid-March, right? So I kind of didn't, I've been putting all of this off. Didn't want to have to deal with it. It's a real pain in the ass to have to address everything. Kind of like back in November, right? But, yeah, and I may, after I publish, it's like a year's worth of content if we keep going at the same pace here, maybe. And I may like curate some of the content here. The way I look at it now, like before I was full steam ahead, thinking like this was great and it was going to last forever. But all of this kind of brought me back to reality, and which is maybe for the best. It's maybe a good thing that it all happened. Because at the end of the day, everything that you see on the channel, the whole thing has been a big experiment. And I lost sight of that, guys. So, but to end it on a good note, there is, that's not to say that there is a certain beauty to the game. It's why I got into it in the first place. Maybe I'll have to share with you guys how I even discovered this game and kind of like my backstory. But maybe not in this video. Maybe I'll do another video. I don't know. There's a certain beauty. I like how, I like the balance. I like how there's so many different like options for counterplay in the game, so many tools and stuff. And you'll hear me, you guys, I'm sure you'll hear me talk about that in the future videos when we, because like I said, I'm going to be publishing. We have a balanced whiner, right? I had to play against a fucking balanced whiner, and I had to address all of that in those videos. So we'll get to that at some point, maybe much later on. This is kind of one of the last games I played. And then also, of course, the role playing, that is a kind of a big plus of this game that the role playing element of the game it's great. It's fun. That's probably the most fun I've had with the game, because obviously I was exploring this game as being kind of exploring its competitive viability, I guess you might say. Like how seriously can you take the game? Can you turn the game into something, that's, the auto combat, like trying to shorten, because like with manual combat, for instance, the XP farming gets out of control. Even if you cut it down, people spend I'm not even kidding, I'm not even exaggerating, hours just doing XP farming, just doing the manual combat against the AI. And then a lot of what I witnessed from that, again, I'll have to make a separate video, but a lot of those games were kind of one-sided games with so they're XP farming and the game's one-sided. So it's like you didn't even have to spend the hours that it takes doing the strategic layer, like the actual strategy. When people get really good, right? When the players it's a closer game. That's a complete nightmare. So it ends up, and there's so much more, guys. It needs its own video. Anyways, I'm kind of like rambling now. The video is dragging out here. It needs its own separate video. Thanks for watching, though. Hopefully I did an okay job kind of walking through all this. It hasn't been fun. I certainly put it off. I didn't want to have to talk about any of it. But hopefully this is kind of a good update, kind of gets people, informs people on what's been going on, and why I've kind of stepped away from the game, and my thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm going to continue posting, and we'll leave the channel up, because it is, at the end of the day, an experiment. I lost sight of it, but yeah, that's what it is. This whole thing has been an experiment, and it's good you can look at it. It's a good experiment. It's a good kind of a study of the game, is kind of how I look at it now. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next game that I publish. See you guys later.